March 15, 1262. As the sun sets beyond the distant hills, I, Elred, now Lord of the frontier lands of Dunwick, take quill in hand to recount the trials and triumphs that have befallen my people and I. My father, a valiant knight in the king's retinue, fell in battle, his life forfeit in the defense of our sovereign. In recognition of his sacrifice, the king bestowed upon me a title and lands that stretch as far as the eye can see. June 29, 1262. The days are long and the work unyielding. I lead a small band of settlers, each with dreams of prosperity. Through toil we will tame this wilderness into our new home. The king's parting gift, a modest trove of resources and antiquated arms, has been our lifeline. We toil from dawn till dusk, carving a living from the land, our spirits undeterred by the hardships we face. December 21, 1262. A year has passed since we first set foot upon this soil. Through perseverance, we have found sustenance in a forest glade, its bounty managed with care by my people. Our village has grown, and with it, our aspirations. We have erected a church, a beacon of faith for our burgeoning community. The creation of charcoal, bringing warmth to our hearths and a spark of innovation to our lives. August 14, 1263. Word has reached us of vagabonds and raiders lurking near our borders. Their allegiance suspected to lie with a treacherous baron. We do not have the funds to buy mercenary might, and though unversed in the art of war, we shall build a wooden redoubt to defend our village, our collective resolve as strong as the timber that will shield us. The few veterans of the king's army within the town have pledged themselves to my protection and to train the militia. We can only pray that their skills will be enough. September 5, 1264. Tragedy has struck. A band of ruthless marauders descended upon us under the cover of night. Their torches igniting more than just our dwellings. They set ablaze our very souls. We rallied, armed with the king's aged weapons, but our lack of training has betrayed us. The bandits vanishing as swiftly as they come, leaving a trail of sorrow and destruction. February 2nd, 1265. The losses we have suffered are grievous, yet we must endure. This land, granted to me by royal decree, demands my protection. I shall not falter. If indeed these heinous acts are the machinations of a baron, then let it be known. My blade thirsts for justice. No matter the years, no matter how much effort or time it takes, vengeance shall be mine, in this life or the next. Faithfully, Elred of Dunwick. Ahoy and welcome to the highly anticipated ManorLords. I've been given early access by the publisher Hooded Horse, and their only caveat for making content was to have fun and get lost in the experience. And I'm the sort of person to do just that. We have a prologue, we have a background, I've uploaded my own custom heraldry, and we're going to take the fight to the Baron. But first we need to build up the city of Dunwick. Here we are, our first look at ManorLords. Now I have played a few hours, and I got my town destroyed by bandits, and that is the premise for our situation here in the game. Now ManorLords is primarily a city builder, and it looks like it's going to have very, very good strategy elements. In the early access, we only have about 40% of the content that will be available at full release. And so we don't see enemy towns built on the map yet, but we will face their armies as well as raiders, etc. Now the premise of the game is to build up a city, expand your reach across the realm, and survive in the early years. We're just checking out the fertility of the region we've been given. Dunwick, the city of Dunwick, shall be built here upon these foundations. I've noticed that there is high fertility for grain in the forest there to our northwest, so I'm going to make that a priority in the first year to heavily deforest that area, ready for crops. We have, just having a look at the underground water situation to see where we need to put our town wells. And the first priority for me normally would be to build up the town, but we're getting straight into industry in this case. So we're going to place down our first logging camp. In ManorLords, the way that resources are distributed around the town and to your villages is through the marketplace. So it needs to be one of the first things you build down. And we're using the plot system here to try and find the perfect size. I want about 80 to 100 market plots because this is going to be quite a large city. The tutorial here explaining that the market really is the heart of your town. I'm going to build a market square, and this will be literally the heart of our town. We have our starting resources there scattered out in the wilderness. If we leave them there for too long, they will degrade. So we need to sort of build up a storage facility and a granary as a matter of priority. We have 5 families. So in ManorLords, you don't have individual workers as such. You have families. And each family member, up to I think 3, can perform different jobs associated with the task you've assigned the family. Or if you leave them unassigned, they'll do things like moving limp timber around the city. Now that the market's plotted out, we're going to put down the storage yard and the granary. And we need to assign at least 1 family to each of those for them to work correctly. And they will pick up those supplies, except the timber, and store it away safely. Every town needs access to clean drinking water and firefighting. But you don't need too many of these, unless you want your town to burn down. One of the coolest features is the ability to run around on foot. You can't really interact with your town too much, but it's great to get a perspective, and it also gives you a real look at the design of your town. Is it functional? And it's really immersive. So we're going to set down our first housing plots, and the housing mechanic is quite intuitive, and it gives you a few different options. It sort of really hugs the terrain. And I'll show you that in a moment. You can kind of delay the building of houses. I've got all of my families working on construction at the moment, and while they don't have houses, they also don't need heating, so you can sort of put it off a bit until winter comes. The Baron's asking us not to judge him based on slander and rumour, but we are convinced he's responsible. Another vital part of your town is the hitching post and having oxen and other livestock. The ox are responsible for moving the large logs of timber around, so they help construct your town. And they're very, 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 very important. They cost regional wealth to buy, and at the beginning of the game, you only have a small amount. And so in this case, I'm going to spend some regional wealth to get a second ox up, because our town is focused on deforestation at the moment, and I will need the extra ox to move around the amount of timber that we're going to knock down. When the game is not recording, it runs fantastically on Ultra on my machine. I have a 2080 Ti and an i9 processor, 990K, and it runs amazingly. When I'm recording, I turn it down to high. Logging camp is operational. We've assigned 3 of our families to start really knocking down those trees. I'm going to put 1 family in the storehouse to pick up some of those building supplies on the ground, and the other family will construct the granary. We could keep the logging camp just doing what it's doing, and it will take all the trees in a circular pattern around it, but I'm going to do targeted work here to try and remove all the trees in a specific location. If the order for pickup is big enough, sometimes the villagers will bring a hand cart and load up to 10 resources, otherwise they'll just use their backpacks to take 1 or 2 at a time. I'm pretty sure those guys are collecting stone for the building. This is the ox trader or the livestock trader. When you put in an order, he will slowly bring it from the edge of the map, and you can only call him in once per month. until you get an actual livestock trader. Because our people are homeless, they're not using any fuel, but they have 3 months worth of food, so we need to look at getting them some food. The easiest option straight away is to get the forestry team out to start picking berries, which grow in spring, and to also a hunting station to hunt the live animals inside the forest. Berries only grow in spring, and we only have a small amount in our deposit, 64 berries. At this stage, 64 berries would feed us for 6 months, but we'd be very bored of it. So we'll get some extra meat as well, and the byproduct of hunt station is you also get some hides, which you can later turn into leather, which is required for clothing. Well, that is something we'll look at further down the track. We'll get these connected up. Roads are free and instant to build. The soon-to-be city of Dunwick only has 5 families, and we can't get any more families until we build houses. But I really want to prioritize, so I'm making sure to micromanage where they are harvesting. You have to look at it quite often because 3 families will clear that plot very, very quickly. It's taking some time for that single family, there are only 2 people in the family at the moment, to build that granary, but it's almost completed. Then we need to get that food off the floor. So the overall objective is to get ourselves a self-sustaining village within the first year. We won't have any chance of getting crops up this year, and it might even be late into the harvest next year. We only have a single family building, so it's going to take a while, but let's place down some houses. So we can rotate, and we would have, 8 plots. But if I minimize it, we could get 10 plots down. So you choose what's right for you. I would like to save some resources, and we'll have double plots. So 2 families can live in those in the initial stages. They also have a backyard where an industry can be placed later on. I'm trying to pick the largest possible plot, so we would get 10 families in there. Once the houses are built, it's important that we provide heating, so we will need a woodcutter's hut. Unlike the timber yard, they break the wood up into smaller pieces to be burned in a fireplace. They share the same patches though. So currently our 2 ox are at work, helping with the construction, as they are unassigned to any other task. So any family that needs a construction oxen will grab one and use them basically. You can assign them to industry as well. We're still waiting for the forager's hut and the hunting field. 1 family is on construction, so it is taking us a little while. Once they're into houses, they start getting bigger families too, which increases their efficiency. Once these houses are finished, we will have enough housing for the families that are here, but none for growth, unless I upgrade them or build more plots. We've taken the family out of the storehouse. We're building also a saw pit. Saw pit turns timber, the large timber, into planks for construction. I'm placing down a second woodcutter's hut to help trim up these forests, but I want to keep that as a nature reserve. Because if you take away the trees, you lose the berries and the wild animals. So we will trim that as much as we can. I have 2 families working on construction now, which is speeding it up somewhat. It's quite relaxing to play. I suggest you play it on normal speed your first playthrough just to enjoy it. We'll make sure that there is a road to connect the backyards, and then we can put another housing plot on the other side, or a church. Our villagers are hard at work. We've got the first house up. We've come to the point now that we have a couple of industries where we have to start managing our manpower, very limited manpower, until we get some growth, and that won't happen until we have more than 6 houses. So we've taken 2 families off of logging. Because we had a little bit of forethought and made these plots quite large, we can immediately expand the living space of this house to house another family. Or we can add some industry to the backyard. So in this case, we'll add a vegetable garden for 15 regional wealth. We'll have enough to put 1 more plot in. I am a patient and vigilant lord, and the townspeople have started to call me the Watcher. The power to supervise every second of their construction. I would probably be accused of sorcery if they knew the truth. And in order to keep expanding, we must think to the future, and that means lots of people. The next housing plot, we're going to push us right up against the map border. Fortunately, that puts us right next to the trading point as well, so our trade options are very high. Same method as before, we're going with the larger plots that can fit an extra house on them. The upside to the other method would be you could have lots of different industries in a small space, and I might use that later. That last house of 5 is being constructed, and we have reached the first level of settlement increase. Yay! That means we get a development point, which you can spend on any of these technologies to make your town more efficient. At the moment, lots of them are locked and a couple of them are not functional. But for now, let's go with forest management to increase the amount of berries we get. We're going to be living on berries for a little while until the farms are ready. Having the vegetable patches will also increase diversity of food, which keeps them happy. And we have some meat coming in as well. So we have a few different types of food. You could do trapping to get passive meat from the forest. You could have apple orchards. You could have sheep breeding. Lots of options. And even more will come. One of the perks of the scenario we're playing is that we get some free weapons from the king once we have a storehouse and 5 houses. So we've just been given 20 shields and 20 spears to help us form an early militia. We've cleared about a third of the timber, so let's have a look at how the farm plots work. Very similar to market and housing. You choose a spot and it tells you how big the field will be. And I believe a morgan is a farming term for a size. The larger the plot, the more manpower needed to tend to the field. Some buildings can be relocated free of charge, such as the timber yard. So we're going to move that closer to the wood that we're targeting just to save on time. Time to build up some other form of industry. The saw pit can go there for now, so it's got quick access to that lumber that's coming in. And I may at some stage, once we start getting more population, we'll build an extra lumber yard. We won't increase in population until we get our satisfaction over 50%, and it's just crept up now. If we put in a church, that'll help speed it up. But we need to really satisfy the needs to get that approval up. Alright, so we have our second plot ready. I think it's time that we spent some more of our regional wealth. I might build 5 vegetable patches, and then 5 chicken coops, and then 5 goat herders. That way we have a constant income of those resources, and we will need them. Coming up on Midsummer's Day, and it's raining. We are starting to run low on heating, and as we expand our housing, we will need more and more coming in. The woodcutters is ready, so we just have to man it, and we've just done that now. Our family sizes have expanded because everyone's in houses. So though we don't have more families, we have more people doing jobs. Bob and his family of builders have almost finished their job, so we're going to add in another house. And I'm undecided whether I want one massive plot here. Let's do that. We've assigned one of the ox permanently to this logging camp. Now that we're in a new month, we should lose the malice for homelessness, and thus our population will increase. It's just a matter of time. Keep servicing their needs and they will grow. Thinking about upgrading the granary, but we may wait. Our first family has moved in. We've got more access to workers. And another one. This place is the place to be. You can upgrade some buildings. The foragers can collect herbs to keep people healthy. I can't see any other use for them besides that, or maybe trading them off. If you start in a really poor region, you might want to focus on trading first to bring in those essential supplies. But you would need to be creating something to sell to create that regional wealth. Placing down our first church. I've spread the families around to every industry, and we've got 2 working on construction. Our new church will be up in no time at all. The sawmill will need to stay active from now on. Now that the church has been constructed, or it's about to be, we will get a burst of happiness, and that should increase our immigration, which means we need to keep the houses coming, and also managing the needs as they increase. The berry deposit is gone for this year. The hunting has almost been worn out. So for now, maybe we should wait and not expand. maybe focus on upgrading the living quality. Normally putting down a second logging camp so close wouldn't really increase efficiency over having 3 people in one, but if I'm doing targeted harvesting, maybe having them spread between 2 would be more effective. Once the second camp's built, we'll move 1 family down there and we'll target 2 separate sections of the forest. Coming into September, which is harvest month, we're going to spread our people between the 2 logging camps to target 2 sections of forest. Now let's have a look at the town's needs, while we upgrade their living space to fit in a few more families without having to build more plots. It's slightly cheaper than having to build a plot. Having the 2 camps target 2 separate sections is more effective, I feel. We're clearing it much faster, because I do keep forgetting to come back here so often. This one's nearly full, so they won't really collect any more. And what you can do is just demolish it to leave a stockage of supplies behind. And I've found that the lumber doesn't degrade. We're back to 1 logging camp, but that's okay. We cleared a fair amount out and we've got a stockpile of resources there. It's almost time to start thinking about the farmland itself. But let's put down a tannery so we can get some clothes out before winter comes and we'll be able to upgrade to level 2 plots. Collecting all the berries, bringing in the hunt, as well as these vegetable patches have given us 9 months at least worth of supplies. I think it's more than 9 months, but our firewood is capped out at the moment. These plots are making space for new families, little granny flats on the side. Now, if you were in a real hurry, you could have just put the farmland down and just knocked the trees down, but I feel like that would have been a terrible waste of timber. The first snows are falling on the true city of Dunwick. So we're going to upgrade the storehouse, which is nearly full from our year worth of collecting. It's almost time to hunker down for the winter. Some industries will stop. Our hunting will continue if you let it. We're going to put down a stone cutter so we can collect this small deposit of stone, which we will need for certain buildings, as well as a rich clay pit. So after playing for a couple of hours now, the strengths of our region is we have fairly good grain fertility. We have it's decent for small plots of other grains like barley or flax for linen. We have a nice rich iron deposit which will be great for making weapons and tools. And we also have the rich clay pit, so there'll be no shortage of roof tiles to make our buildings strong against the big bad wolf. We have a year's worth of supplies stockpiled, maybe more now, 14 months. So if we doubled our population, we would still have 7 months worth of supplies. It is January, it is a new year, and we have cleared as much as we can in that 1 year. It's almost time to knock down the logging camps and get started on the fields for next year. Because our tannery's been making leather, we can now upgrade as many plots as possible to level 2, which will start bringing in some regional wealth. 1 per family per month. And all of that lumber, that timber, made it possible. All that timber we collected just let us upgrade the entire town almost in one go. This final plot here on the corner I may make into an industry. They have a very big yard, so I might make them the town brewery even. And that's the perk of having that job, is you get a bigger house. 31 people in the town. Now that the timber is gone and used, we're going to demolish our timber yards and get ready for the fields for this year. Plots are coming along nicely. We've got 5 families working on construction. We want these houses up and ready. Clay is vital for roof tiles, which are needed to upgrade, I believe, the church as well as houses to level 3. So we'll get started on that industry. The stone cutters, we will not have to spend much manpower on that. It'll be depleted rather fast. It's February and we've earned our first income from our level 2 plots, and we can see they have new needs: tavern supply, higher church level, and better clothes. We've already satisfied their need for diverse food. Very, very happy with this first year. Now that we're earning regional wealth, we should invest it every month. So I'll upgrade the stables to hold more ox, and we'll get more oxen in, and then we will start upgrading the plots to have other industries. I want to get eggs up so that we've got another type of food, and I want to get goats in so that we can just passively make leather all the time. There are other industries that unlock when they're at higher levels, but we don't need those just yet. And they do take away some of your workers, I think. I think it changes their class, and they just always stay home. Tradesmen, something like that. That includes people like blacksmiths, tailors, cobblers, turners, all of those great jobs that no one does anymore. The Hand of God assisting the villagers to clear the field space, miraculously clearing all the foliage. We now have 13 families and we still need logs coming in, so the logging camp will be moved to clear out this little patch here, and I think that might be the seat of power for the town of Dunwick. We've reached the 2nd level. We might unlock beekeeping to further diversify. Actually, no, charcoal is essential for efficiency. Placing down the first farmhouse right at Market Square. This town will always show its true roots. Protected by the land it lives on. We're going to have food coming out of here, and I'm going to see how far I can push the limits of the castle building mechanic as well later on. You'll need to subscribe to the channel to see that though. That won't be in this episode, that's for sure. How big will the first fields be? I'm thinking into the future. I would like to have as many people in this town as I could conceivably fit. So let's make the fields quite large. And some of these patches will have fertility for the other grains as well, just not as high as grain. We have access, we don't have access to rye. Rye is a very, very hardy grain. You have to unlock that with a technology though. By that stage, our crops will be well established and I don't think it'll be necessary. Second plot here. 1.4 Morgan. A little bit big. Let's make it square, or rectangular, rather. Because fields use up their fertility between harvests, it's wise to have more than one plot to rely on. So we're going to put in probably 6. There's one space there we can't fill because of our lumber that's sitting there, but once that's used up, we will put in a plot there as well. Making sure to use up all the fertile ground, very ambitious field sizes. I've decided to use one of the technologies available to assist us with farming. And the final field plot, I think that'll fit in there. We'll just knock down these trees. We don't need them too much. I could have done this at the start, but that would be unrealistic. March is the start of spring. What crops can we use? We could put wheat in here. Let's get started on wheat. Wheat and flax are okay. Barley not so good on this patch. Let's go with wheat again. Then the following year on a crop rotation, we'll have the same crop. So that should give 1 whole year to recover. We'll make this one flax, as we will need linen as our second type of clothing. We could harvest wool for yarn, which is another type of clothing material. And we just need the farmhouse to be built ASAP. We have 3 families that'll take care of that. We don't have a lot of manpower for farming, so we may have to do seasonal. And we will have to plow and also sow the fields, which I think will take a lot of time, and we may miss the actual peak time to plant. I think ideally you want to plow the fields before winter, but I'm no farmer. I mentioned sheep before, and I haven't used them yet, so let's try out some livestock. Let's make a pasture for some sheep. To bring in sheep, we'll need a livestock trader and someone manning that station. We could just bring sheep in and then get him on another job. Even with 13 families, we still have 19 months worth of supplies. Our market supply is good. Storehouses are full. The berries are starting to grow. We've got families on that. We've got people farming again. All hands in the field. That thankless job of ploughing a field. Let's get everybody on that job. It's not really imperative to our survival this year, but for the future of our town, we will want everyone to get into the habit of joining into the farming cycle. At least until we have a dedicated class for that. But at the moment, we're still surviving off our own toil. We don't have any trading yet. Trading is a big part that you could use to leap a town right up into development. We have unlocked another development point because all of our houses are level 2 and we didn't even use the last tech. So let's get a charcoal kiln down. That uses firewood to create charcoal, which works twice as well as firewood. The village is getting that field plowed very, very quickly, in my opinion. Slowly chipping away. The third field is halfway done. Now they just have to get the seed in the ground quickly. It is May. Is that too late? Any aspiring farmers in the chat, let me know. It probably depends on where in the world you are too, obviously. Let's spend the other point on the heavy plow upgrade to get the ox in the field to help them plow and collect. The plow's been built and we've assigned an oxen to that farmhouse. Perhaps it would be a better idea to build another farmhouse so that we can have 2 plows. The same idea as having 2 logging camps to target. We'll see. We don't have the manpower for that yet. We'll see. But I guess 2 plows would probably be the same as 1 farmhouse full of people in terms of plow efficiency. Look at him go. 1 dude and his ox. Turning earth for the good of his town. I've never set up this industry in this game. I think this is going to be enough food. I mean, we have 17 months just in berries and vegetables. So I don't think food supply is going to be too much of an issue. It should be able to be self-sustaining at a certain point once you have enough workers to man all of your industries that you want to put in a town. We shall see. Like, is it a matter of you build the city, it becomes self-sustainable, and then you move on to other cities in other regions? It is now June and we have the first signs of life in our fields. But is it too late? Will they be still growing when the frost comes? Oh, we've got that last field being ploughed for some reason. That's not going to be ready in time. We'll cancel that. We'll start her up next year on wheat. Next year wheat for that one. I think we've got a good alternating crop. 6 patches. This game even lets you watch the grass grow. And it's fulfilling. Let's have a look at the main promenade of the city of Dunwick. You can see the church there in the background. The logging camp helping to get rid of all of that extra wood around. We're going to expand the city north. Mrs. McGregor's not home. She makes beautiful apple pie. Don't know where she gets the apples from. The city requires a bigger church and access to beer to go anywhere development-wise. So rather than wait an entire year for some barley to be available, let's bring it in with a trader. Build the trading building. You need some resources. I think you have to pay to open a trade route. With grain coming shortly, we should think about having the mill up so we can turn it into flour. And then we will need an oven to cook it into delicious bread, which has run out some months ago. And the villagers are hotly demanding some fresh bread rolls. A staple of any medieval diet, I think. Well, at least it is in my town. The livestock trader is ready. Let's bring in the sheep. I wonder, you've got access to lambs. Can we bring lambs in and grow them to sheep so it just works out to be cheaper? Let's try that. Let's bring in 5 lambs. Import. Set to 5. And he will bring those in as required. If everything's working correctly. Let's make it 10. That's 200 wealth. The grain seems to be coming through, so we may have a lot coming in. Let's build that oven I was talking about before. September is harvest time. The villagers are jumping into the field. Good on them. Going to scythe the wheat and then thresh it. I believe that's the term, to get the grain out. And then we're going to crush it into a powder and mix it with water to make bread. Add some heat. God, humans are so ingenious. Like, who thought who thought of bread? Does anyone know? Bread is great. I think having the ox was a good call because they're scything all the wheat and then putting it on the ox and he's taking it back, so he's saving them big journeys. Tannery will get people out. We just want everyone on the harvest. Then we can party like it's $12.99. Coming into October, the villagers are starting the ploughing. So maybe I was right. It's good to have your fields ready to go for the following year. Making sure that we're set up correctly in the crop rotation, because ideally I would just want to go hands off at some point and concentrate on conquering the Baron. A dastardly Baron and his raiders, I just know it's him. Despite our building efficiency, we've reached population cap, so it's time to add in some more houses. These guys are going to have very large plots, and I think I might give them apple orchards as soon as I can spend that development point. But for now, they're going to have the Highland goats. With another 10 families expected, we could also put in another farming house and really speed up our crop cycle. Coming into winter, snow is falling, houses are built, so let's get them upgraded straight away. Let's get these granny flats ready so that we have population for the new year. The wealth of the region is expanding. We have enough to upgrade our plot, so this one's going to be a garden, and then the rest here in this bottom will be chicken coops because we want the eggs. Eggs will add great diversity to our diet. And once those plots above are upgraded, we will turn those into goat pens. And I might build more houses even. Let's have a ponder on that. The soil is frozen. I feel like I'm wasting manpower by having these farming houses filled with people not doing anything. Let's move them out to help with construction. We have lost a little bit of approval as the third source of food runs out. Those vegetables went very quickly. But with the extra plots coming next year, we'll have more veggies, we'll have eggs, which will make up for that deficiency. Keep everyone nice and happy. Just be patient. The eggs are coming. And if you want some goat meat, you can have that too. Let's get the goats in. Man. Goaty, goaty, goaty. Right, everyone's got a plot. So their land will be useful. And then we can start to tax it. The second farmhouse can have their plough, and so the plan here is to be able to just smash out the field work and then get back into town and work on the industry in town. We've split the 8 families that worked on the farm between the 2 farmhouses, so they're a bit less squished in there, and they also have their properties back in the town, so they're doing okay. A pack station and a hitching post. We do need more livestock capacity, so we'll drop in another hitching post. Upgrade it to a stable once it's finished. It is the city of Dunwick's second winter, and the town is bustling. The people, I think they're grateful. The chickens, there they are, hello chicken. The goats, we've got our church, which I do intend to upgrade at some point. That is a precariously positioned windmill. Let's dance under it for fun. That might be where we hold the weddings, hey? That'd be cool. Let's bring in a horse to help with our trader when he starts his runs up the road to the trade point. It's very close. So this region is pretty good. It has decent fertility. It has a great iron deposit. It has a great clay deposit. If we could start making weapons en masse, the Baron, he will not be able to stand before my might. We'll see how many people we can put into an army. That's my goal, to see how big I can make a castle and how big I can make an army. I don't know whether there are population limits or whatever, but we're going to push the limits. I might even make multiple cities. But we'll see how our conflict plays out. We've been left alone by the raiders. I keep getting messages about their presence. I could hardly call myself a manor lord without having said manor, so let's place down our first residence. You can edit the castle, adding towers, outer towers. Cool. You can add walls, roads, gates, and other various buildings. This looks like an economic building. Each of these costs resources. We don't have a terrible amount of wood. I have lots of stone. I think I might just place down the manor for now, and we will come back to plan our castle in another episode. Let's just get the house built. We can worry about fancy trimmings at a later stage. But no, I've been homeless. I've been just wandering around streets watching people for 2 years, so it's fitting that I get my own home now. It took until April to get this building done because there were some arguments over where the windows should have been placed, according to the villagers' dialogue. We are doing really well. Let's have a look at our retinue. We can recruit men-at-arms for 50 personal wealth. I've started taxation, 10% land tax, and I think it's fair. I've offered great facilities. Let's expand the suburbs further. Will I place them here? They're very, very long plots. Let's do it this way, with the backyards facing onto the church. We're going to be a very close community. We'll make these large plots as well. I'm not sure what industries we'll put in there. Maybe more gardens. Vegetables are always good. There is a little bit of unhappiness in the settlement because the clothing issue. Everyone's just wearing leather. I'm going to bring in some barley as well. We're going to get the beer flowing. So we're going to set up a trade route. We're going to set how many barley? We just want 5. And I'll turn it into malt and then we will brew it. But I also need to designate the brew house. Let's expand further north here. This will probably be the final suburb or the final housing plot. And I might make this the trade, no, not the trade district, but where all the specialists work. All the tradesmen and their families. Like a blacksmith, cobbler, tailor, all those guys. That way we're not really diluting our families as well, because they will become useless to us besides what they make. We'll make these single plots, but we need more wood first. Waiting a few moments lets that wood come in, and we can build those single plots. So all of those guys can be a specialist tradesman. They won't take away from what we have within a town. We'll make those garden plots as well. Another ruler's army was sighted. Uh-oh. Is he coming for me? That's 3 units. Men flying the banner of the Baron have entered the lands. He does have claim to those lands, but I don't trust him, so we're going to get our fortifications up. Let's build the wall. If only for somewhere for everybody to retreat in the worst case scenario. Last time we were attacked in the dead of night, I had the game on full speed, and before I realized they were in the town setting everything on fire. So let's not make that same mistake, because if I did, it would be on my fault, wouldn't it? We couldn't blame anyone else for my lack of defensive management. Just clicking between the points is going to cost a lot of planks. 58 planks for a palisade wall and a gatehouse. I have been stockpiling planks for a while. We just need some timber. And so, my friends, that is the first chapter of the tale of the city of Dunwick. Lord Alred has done a fantastic job to bounce back from his setback trying to found the city of Dunwick. As we look there over the fields, it's a very, very gladiator-esque scene there. I just want to go run my fingers through the wheat. Like, subscribe, and tune in next time. Commander Tyrael, out.